Hey folks, today we are going to install ESXi within a VMware workstation. This video is a tutorial on a step-by-step guide on how to go about completing that task as one of the first steps to create your virtual environment. So as you can see on the left hand side here, I have a few ESXi hosts already configured. We're going to make a third one today. So I have the Workstation 14 Pro. I just upgraded last night. Normally I'm working in the Workstation 12 environment, VMware Workstation, that is 12 environment. So upgrading, just trying to see what the latest and greatest has to offer. So you can see that, with the exception of maybe the backsplash here, the environment is pretty similar to 12. So let's begin. So we're going to select create a new virtual machine. We're always going to select custom as our option on that first screen. We'll accept the defaults here as far as the virtual machine hardware compatibility, and then you'll see that there's a default path as far as where your files are located. So where your files and folders and directories are located, I have created a VMware vSphere 6 Enterprise Plus directory, and then I've broken down all of the aspects or the parts of the virtual environment. So we'll start with ESXi, and then in the next video we'll go over vCenter Server, the web client, as well as the C# client. So let's begin with ESXi. Select the ISO there, hit open, and then hit next. Okay, I'm going to label this host 3 just so that it has a unique name. Now you may want to change the default path. I'm going to keep it under virtual machines, but in the root directory of C, and I'll take out the remainder part of this directory structure here. So it'll be C virtual machines, and then where my ESXi host is located. I'll hit next. I'll accept the defaults. Just point of contention here, you want to make sure you have at least 2 processors for ESXi, so when you get the rest of your virtual environment up and running, it works properly with the other components like vCenter Server. Okay, I'm going to ramp this up to 8 gigs here. Okay, hit next. We'll stick with the default, which is NAT, Network Address Translation. We'll stick with the defaults here on the I/O controller types, LSI logic, and then SCSI recommended as far as the disk type. And we'll create a new virtual disk. Here's what I'd like you to change. The virtual disk into a single file, and then let's ramp this up to 80 gigs. Hit next. Okay, and then this is our VMDK, our virtual machine disk file, and we'll accept that. Second summary, in the event that we wanted to change something, I would hit the customize hardware button, and then as an example, if I wanted to add another network adapter, I could do so, and then I'll have 2 network adapters. I'm going to add a third one. We'll talk about why we're going to have 3 network adapters on our ESXi host, and then I will hit close. I'm happy with that, and all the defaults will be NAT. Okay, and then I'll hit finish. Okay, I'm going to maximize the screen here just so you can see what's going on, and the standard installer is what you will proceed with as far as the default settings, and then it's going to take some time here. to load several files. So I'll let you take a look at that process and the feel of that. And then I'll get to a point where it'll be pretty intuitive as far as what's going to happen right here as far as going through the various files. It's going pretty quickly, so maybe we'll continue on with that as far as the video goes. So now would be a really good time to discuss ESXi and its function. It's it's part of the abstraction layer. It's part of it is the VM kernel, where it allows the host machine, which is whatever workstation, desktop you have ESXi installed on. It allows the host workstation's internal components, the memory, the storage, the CPU. It allows all those internal components to be shared with multiple virtual machines. So we're moving away from the one-to-one relationship that is the more traditional practice from a networking standpoint, and now we're moving toward one-to-many in relation to virtualization. So exciting times ahead, and really we can maximize what we have, this powerful machine in front of us. I'm going to hit enter. It's just welcoming me to the installation. I will accept the license agreement, and then it's going to go through its scan here, and then it's just showing the partition that this installation will go on. I'll accept the defaults as far as US, and then I like to use root 123 as the password, and we're going to confirm it again, root 123, and then hit enter. And then I'll hit F11 to install. So I'm going to pause for the cause. That seems to be taking a little while. So when we come back, we'll come to the next screen. Okay, so we're back and the installation was successful. So I'll hit enter to reboot, and this will take a moment as far as the rebooting process is concerned. So just wanted to show you that screen, and I will pause for the cause and let that run, and then when we come back you will see the ESXi host, the root console screen there. Okay, so here we are at the root console screen, you'll notice that right here there is no IP address assigned, so that's one of the first tasks we are going to complete right now. So you'll hit F2 to customize the system, and then every time you want to make any type of change, you will have to log in with the root password, which is root123. So if you wanted to change that, you could configure your password there. We're going to go down to where it says configure management network. You'll see on the right hand side here, we do not have currently an IP version 4 address. So under network adapters, you'll see I have two, the VMNIC 0, okay, the VMNIC 1, and then the VMNIC 2. Those are the three adapters I created within the VMware workstation when we were first configuring the virtual machine. So I'm going to escape out of there. I'm going to, by default, I'll go back really quick. Notice the X here, the VMNIC 0, that's the first network adapter, is selected. So if you do plan to change the IP address, then make sure you have the proper NIC card selected. And then I'm going to escape out of here, and then I'm going to go to the IP version 4 configuration. And so you'll notice it's all keyboard arrows up and down as far as the navigation of the console is concerned. I'm going to highlight the set static IP version 4 address and use the spacebar to select it. I'm running a Class C network, so I'm going to go with 192.168.245, and I'm going to make this .5. Okay. My subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Okay, and then my default gateway. We don't have right now. We're not trying to get outside of the network, so I won't configure that at this point. But we'll come back to this at a later point when I explain the networking aspect of getting all your virtual machines to communicate with each other within the virtual environment. So I'm going to hit enter, OK, and then I'm going to hit escape, and it's probably going to prompt me to save the changes. I'll hit yes. Okay. And then we're going to pause for the cause for a moment. Okay, so we're back, and a couple of the settings I wanted you to be mindful of on your virtual machine. If you highlight the virtual machine, right click, and then go to settings. Okay, just to reiterate what we covered already, we installed 3 network adapter cards, so you want to make sure they're all set to NAT. So that's first and foremost. The other thing that a lot of people and videos fail to mention is the virtual network editor. So this is a key component as far as once you install your virtual machine, you want to make sure that the virtual switch, and I'll show you that virtual switch right here, it's labeled VMNet 8. Notice it's under NAT, and then the subnet IP address is 192.168.245.0, and that's right here as well. If you wanted to change those settings, you would select to change those settings, select yes, and then it will populate access to changing those settings. Notice that NAT is enabled. I would definitely use the local DHCP services because you don't want an IP address from a different subnet assigned to your virtual switch. So those are the settings a lot of people unfortunately don't cover, but I wanted to share that with you to save you a lot of time. And of course your subnet mask is along the Class C network, right? So I'm gonna hit OK on that. And then the other thing I'd like to show you is your virtual switch. So anytime within VMware Workstation you create a virtual machine, a virtual switch is created as well. It's in the form, from the layperson's eye, this would look like a regular network adapter, but it's actually a virtual switch. So I right-clicked. I'm going to select the TCP/IP properties. You could either go to properties or you can just double-click, and then you'll see I've assigned the 192.168.245.1 as the IP address, and then keeping it a class C. And once again, I've kept the default gateway blank for now because we don't need access to the internet, so that's why I've kept that blank. So I wanted to show you those two things in regards to the installation of ESXi. So that's pretty much it, folks. Hopefully this was informative, and the next video will cover the vSphere client as well as the vCenter server. Thanks. Take care.